going to show off my new hat. My new hat. Two-step equations. We are going to model and solve each equation. Remember the coins and pouches activity from yesterday. So for those of you who were unable to participate yesterday, you will see what's happening with that as we work on it today. Zoom in a little bit here. So I'm going to do a drawing of pouches for representing X because we don't know how many coins are in that, and we are going to do circles for coins. So I'm going to represent that like this. So I have 2 pouches. Then I have 4 coins. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I have 8 coins over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm going to do something here that you might remember from the beginning of the year. So I just had those 2 take each other out of the question. Those 2 took each other out of the question. So how many did we remove from both sides? Someone raise your hand. Check. We removed 4 from both sides. So I removed 4 from this side, and I removed 4 from that side. Now that isn't circled, I have 2x equals 8. Now if I have 2 bags and 2 sets of coins, I can circle these guys, and lo and behold, how many coins in each bag? Braden? Oh, thank you. I did that same thing 4th period. Thank you. So we have 4, and then we divided them into 2 different groups, so we divided by 2. Right? And how many in each bag? Yeah, Stoby? 2. There are 2 in each bag. It's a bad 2. That much better 2. Example, model 2. So now we have 5. 5 plus 2x equals negative 7. So I have, once again, 2 bags of X amount of coins. Then I have 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And, ooh, how am I going to indicate a negative? Let's do negative. Now I have something that definitely looks like a sea of zeros, right? Because these are positive numbers. Look how everything comes right back turned around. So these negatives get rid of those positives. So if I'm getting those positive 7 or positive 5 to go away, what's like that doing? Ugh. What's that like doing? Subtracting 5. So I took 5 from that side. However, since it's like a sea of zeros, I'm just making them disappear. Since it's a sea of zeros, they're both just disappearing. That ain't right. Because we should be doing minus 5. So I am subtracting 5 from there, but when I subtract 5, I already have negatives on this side. So what do I have left? I already have negatives on the right side. What happens when I subtract negative? They multiply, right? So now I have 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so now I have 12. So these guys are gone because I made them go away. So now if I am going to be finding out how many are in each bag, I have this many in this bag and the same amount in this bag. So how many in any bag? Is it just a 6? Negative 6. Yes. I took 5 away from the left side and the right side. And when I have a negative 5 already and I take 5 more away, I become more negative by 5. The what? Negative 7 minus 5? Negative 12. So you have negative 6. When solving a two-step equations, you use the order of operations backwards. In reverse. There are special things including fractions, and we'll get to that. But in general, it's so it is Shaniqua, Aunt, dear, my, excuse, please. But this way it's, let's see here. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And an easy way to remember this is, it is a sad MEP. No, not a sad nap, sad MEP. Yes, I did. During fifth period when they were doing their homework. So it's a sad MEP. Yeah. So I'm going to rewrite sad MEP right here, and I want you to rewrite sad MEP right there. Sad MEP, not sad MEAP. Sad MEP. Because I didn't do it capital. Well, don't be a sad MEP. So I do the order of operations backwards. The order of operations in reverse. So my first step for this guy right now, first I'm going to rewrite it. Go ahead and rewrite it over here, please. Oops, sorry, headphone users. So what's going to be my first step? Is there any subtraction I can do? No, there's no subtraction here. Is there any addition here? Yes, there is. What's the inverse of addition? Subtraction. So I have to subtract. And what's being added here? 5. I have to subtract 5 from both sides. Minus 5. Minus 5. Oops. $80 equals 40. Yeah, it equals 40. Now what's my next step? This looks familiar. You guys have had this before. Loyette? Exactly, because I've already taken care of adding. The next one is division. And that's just like multiplication division for PEMDAS. You do it left to right. So I have division, so I have to, or sorry, multiplication, so I have to divide, which is the inverse of multiplication. Divide by 4 both sides. Okay, I'm not going to write this both sides again. Okay, you should know that by now. That's why there's an equal sign, because it needs to be balanced. So now I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides. I'm going to do it yellow. Stay consistent. So I now have 40, 20 equals D. I'm going to circle that guy. Now I'm going to show you how to check your work with this. In order to check your work with this, I'm going to do it green because we're going to get it right. I am just going to substitute in what we found for D, in this case, in there. Ching! Sorry, headphones user, I just hit my microphone again. So that checks out. Any questions on that so far? Okay. Here we go. Oh. All right, here we go. I'm going to rewrite this because it's not on my screen, so I'm just going to write it so we can go through it. Admit. So we have, do we have any subtraction? No. Do we have any addition? Yes, we do. So we have to do the inverse of that addition. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 7, because when I have 7 plus b over 7, that's the same thing as b over 7 plus 7 through the associative property of addition. Sorry, commutative property of addition. Ugh, messed that one up. Commutative property of addition. So I'm going to rewrite this over here. So I subtract 7 from both sides, subtract 7 from both sides. Now I have 12 equals b over 7. What's my next step now? Yes? Multiplication. I have to multiply by 7. The reason I'm doing multiplication because it's the inverse of division. And I need to get b by itself. Oops, wrong button. There it is. So now I just have b chilling, and I have 7 times 12, and I don't need calculators in this unit because we're not using them. 7 times 10 is 70, plus 14 is 84. 84 equals b. You can open a window over there. So here's the special exception. And the reason that this is a special exception when you're dealing with addition, because if we were doing SADMET, we would see this addition right here. However, this guy could be rewritten. So I want you to write this. Because there's actually inferred parentheses there. Inferred parentheses, that's actually what that is. And as you know, SADMEP, the P is at the end of the inverse order of operations. So with that in mind, what is the first step? Do we have any subtraction? No. We have a negative sign, but no subtraction. Do we have any addition? We do, but it's stuck in the parenthesis. Do we have any multiplication? Or sorry, division would be next. Do we have any division? Yes, we do. So we have to do the inverse of division, which is what? Multiplication. By -7. So we now have -7 times 16 is going to be 70 plus 42. That's a negative. Now what's my next step? Chloe? What's my next step? No, we already did the division. Think of SADMEP. When we're looking at this guy, actually, here's where we're left. What is it? Parenthesis? We don't have a parenthesis anymore. So we took care of the parenthesis, as in we took it away. So what do you see happening here? This was a little tricky. Sorry if I put you on the spot. Sparrow. Addition, yes, because you see this -8 here. That's the same thing as -8, isn't it? It's the same thing as -8. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides. I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Plus 8, plus 8. Here's integers again. -12 plus 8 is going to be -104. Ouch. -104. I have to check my work with that one. Shh, stop. Last one. Second exception. Now there's something about this that you should remember from our integers unit, or from last year as well. What is it?
It's that a negative and a subtraction sign, when they're together right next to each other, they're addition.
So those two, they're like the best friends ever, you know, and they want to hang out, and one of them is like, yeah, I'm going to hang out with you, I'm going to turn 90 degrees. So that can be rewritten as D plus 5, because a double negative is a positive. A double negative is a positive. Same thing when you're multiplying together. If you multiply a negative number times a negative number, you get a positive. Yeah. I'm going to rewrite this over here, though. So we have 14 equals. Can you please go around the desks rather than climb underneath or above? Thank you, Avery. So what's my first step? This is a special exception. Lexi, what do you think? Think of SADMEP. What'd you think? Do we have, okay, so I'm going to rewrite this up here, and I want you to make sure that you do that on your homework as well. Do we have any subtraction here? No. Do we have any addition here that we can use? No, because it's the inferred parentheses, right? How about division? Yes. So we have to do the inverse of division, which is? Yeah, multiply. We're going to multiply both sides by 5. 7, rather. We're going to multiply both sides by 7. I'll do that in pink. So we have 70 plus 28 equals the opposite of D plus 5. Now what's my next step? Jamichael, what's my next step?
So next thing we're going to do I'm trying to play it off.
What's the next step? All right, that's it. That's it. Now just imagine this being by itself, and you're doing the inverse operations that we learned a couple weeks ago.
What we just did was multiply, because we have to do the inverse of 5.
True.
So, as you see,
What? Well, actually, we're starting over with the said met because now we're done with the parentheses. So.
So we have to, as we did up here on the earlier things, we minus it by 7. We subtract it.
Not 7.
Is it 14? Or 5?
Look at the equation.
5.
Yes, we subtract 5. Correct.
And that's how you do it.
That's right. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. So we're going to subtract 5 from both sides, so 98 minus 5 is 93. However, we don't have D by itself. There are 2 ways that we can take care of this negative. The one way that's the easiest and most obvious to just make happen, that works mathematically, and I'll tell you why in a moment, you just flip both signs. You just flip both signs, because actually what you're doing is you're dividing by -1. You're dividing both sides by -1. But just flip both signs. Okay? So remember, the sad MEP will save the day, and it won't be so sad. But it's not a happy MEP.